For a moment, it looked like Timothée Chalamet had just started a cultural war with one sentence. During a public conversation about the future of movies, Timothée Chalamet casually said something that instantly lit up the internet. He claimed he didn't want to work in ballet or opera because, in his words, no one cares about it anymore. Within hours, the clip exploded online. Fans, dancers, singers, and celebrities started reacting. Some people thought he was joking. Others felt like one of Hollywood's biggest young stars had just dismissed entire art forms that have existed for centuries. And then the situation got even bigger when Jamie Lee Curtis stepped in. But to understand why this moment blew up the way it did, you have to start with what actually happened that day. The comment came during a town hall conversation hosted by Variety and CNN. Timothée Chalamet was sitting beside Matthew McConaughey talking about the future of the film industry. Like many actors in Hollywood, Chalamet has been openly passionate about preserving movie theaters. Streaming platforms have completely changed how people watch films, and many insiders worry that the traditional theater experience is slowly fading. So while discussing the struggle to keep cinema alive, Chalamet made a comment that quickly turned controversial. He said he didn't want to work in ballet or opera, art forms that, according to him, people don't care about anymore. Then he realized the audience reaction might not be great, so he quickly tried to laugh it off, joking that he had probably just lost 14 cents in viewership. But by that point, it was already too late. Because once that clip hit social media, the backlash started almost immediately. Across platforms like TikTok, X, and Reddit, people began sharing the clip with captions calling the comment disrespectful to classical arts. Ballet dancers and opera performers pointed out that their industries have survived for hundreds of years. Many argued that just because something isn't dominating mainstream pop culture doesn't mean people don't care about it. Others said the comment showed how disconnected Hollywood celebrities can sometimes sound when talking about other art forms. The conversation quickly shifted from one offhand comment to a much bigger debate about culture itself. But the biggest response wasn't coming from random users online. It was coming from other celebrities. One of the first major voices to respond was Oscar-winning actress Jamie Lee Curtis. Curtis spoke about the situation during an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, and she didn't hold back when sharing her thoughts. She called Chalamet's comments silly, saying that dismissing ballet and opera like that simply doesn't make sense. For Curtis, the topic is personal. Her daughter Annie is a dance instructor, which means she's seen firsthand how much work, dedication, and passion goes into that world. She explained that while audiences for some traditional art forms might be shrinking, that doesn't mean those art forms are disappearing. In her words, you can't just throw ballet and opera under the bus. They're too important culturally and historically. She also suggested that Chalamet probably regrets making the comment now that it has become such a viral moment. And Curtis made another interesting point. She said that throughout history, people have constantly predicted the death of certain artistic formats, only for them to survive and adapt. After all, even today, many filmmakers still choose to shoot movies on film instead of digital. But while Curtis took a more measured approach, another celebrity had a much more blunt reaction: rapper Doja Cat. In a TikTok video that was later deleted, Doja Cat responded directly to Chalamet's comment, and she did not hold back.
She criticized what she described as the nerve of saying on camera that nobody cares about ballet or opera. According to Doja Cat, every industry goes through difficult periods. Music struggles sometimes, film struggles sometimes, but that doesn't mean people suddenly stop caring about those art forms. She pointed out that dancers care, singers care, and audiences still care. Then she ended her message with a very direct statement aimed at Chalamet, basically telling him that when you attend these kinds of performances, the normal etiquette is simple: show up, dress nicely, sit down, and respect the art. The video quickly spread online before eventually being deleted, but by then, the debate had already taken on a life of its own. Suddenly, what started as one casual comment had turned into a much larger conversation. And that conversation raised an interesting question. are classical art forms like ballet and opera actually fading away? The reality is more complicated. For decades, both industries have faced challenges. Audiences tend to be older, funding can be difficult, and younger generations often gravitate toward newer forms of entertainment. But at the same time, ballet companies and opera houses around the world continue to sell tickets, attract audiences, and train new performers. Social media has even introduced classical performances to entirely new viewers who might never have attended a live show before. Clips of ballet performances regularly go viral. Opera singers gain millions of views online. So while the audience may be different than it was decades ago, it's far from disappearing. And this is where some people believe Chalamet's comment might have been misunderstood. Because if you look at the context of the conversation, he wasn't really trying to attack classical arts. He was trying to defend cinema.
The entire discussion was about preserving the movie theater experience. Many actors and filmmakers worry that streaming services are slowly replacing the cultural impact that theaters once had. Jamie Lee Curtis herself admitted in the same interview that the film industry is going through what she described as a desperate time. She talked about how even actors who once starred in major movies and TV shows are now competing for very small roles. In other words, Hollywood itself is feeling the pressure, which might explain why Chalamet was speaking so passionately about keeping the film industry alive. But when a sentence is clipped out of a longer conversation and shared across social media, context often disappears. And that's exactly what happened here. One short moment turned into a viral controversy involving actors, musicians, and entire artistic communities. But maybe the biggest takeaway from this situation isn't about Timothée Chalamet at all. It's about how quickly a single comment can explode into a global debate. Because in the end, the real question might not be whether people care about ballet or opera. The real question is how every form of art, from classical performances to modern cinema, continues to survive in a world where entertainment is constantly evolving. And if history has proven anything, it's that art rarely disappears. It simply finds new ways to live.